Hey everybody, welcome back to Guys Night Lab. I'm Jesus, and welcome to another edition of Halloween Nights. Today we have a movie. It's actually one of my favorite movies, and if you know something about me, you know that I love anthology movies, and anthology scary movies are some of my favorites. So today we're going to talk about Tales from the Darkside, the movie. Tales from the Darkside was a TV show in like the 80s. But it was a movie from the 90s, and it was written by Michael McDowell and Arthur Cohen and Stephen King. So it's an anthology, so a lot of them wrote some of the stories, some of the segments, and George A. Romero. So a lot of heavy hitters here. That are in this movie, because there's different stories anthologies, so everyone kind of has their own screenplay directorials, and if you know and if you've read from this, the Tales from the Darkside is considered by Tom Savini and a lot of people to actually be the unofficial sequel to Creepshow. And if you know anything about Creepshow and Creepshow 2, it's one of my favorite scary movies, horror movies. And they're both anthology movies as well. They have like a wraparound. Creepshow 2, I've done a review before. I think I've done give a segment on it. But that one has like a wraparound and 3 stories, and then another wraparound. And it's that wraparound is an animated cartoon, which is awesome. And I love Creepshow 2. Check it out if you haven't seen it. But Tales from the Darkside is the unofficial, technically, sequel to Creepshow 2, so a lot of people consider it Creepshow 3. But anyways, the movie stars, like I said, a lot of heavy hitters on the writers and directors, but as well as like the actors. In the when you say wraparound stories, if it's an anthology, wraparound story kind of means like an intro storyline that someone's telling a story or narrating the other segments, whether it's 3 segments or 4 segments, and then they cut back to the wraparound, and then at the end the wraparound story wraps up. It's not part of the anthology episodes or shorts that you're watching. So actors as well. Debbie Harry she plays like a witch in the wraparound story. If you don't know who Debbie Harry is, Deborah Harry, she's the lead singer from Blondie. It stars Matthew Lawrence. He's like the kid that's trapped by the witch in the wraparound story. Christian Slater, Steve Buscemi, Julianne Moore, David Johansen. If you don't know who David Johansen is, he I wouldn't have recognized that name, but he's from I knew him from Car 54, Where Are You, and from Tales from the Darkside, and he's in Scrooge, and he's like in other movies as well. But he's actually a rock star from the 70s. I think it's the New York Dolls. I don't know if it's the New York Dolls or just the Dolls, but very flamboyant rock band. But yeah, you would recognize his face if you saw him. But anyways, Tales from the Darkside has some great stories. The wraparound story starts with a boy. He's probably like maybe like anywhere between 8 and 10. Is in a cell at this lady's house, Deborah Harry's house, in like a suburban house. It's almost like a Hansel and Gretel kind of type thing. She's gonna bake them for her friends that are coming over for a party, and obviously her friends are other witches and whatever. And so he's like stalling, and she's like, we probably have like 45 minutes before I have to start cooking you. So he's like, oh well, let me read a book, a scary story out of this book, and then those are the stories that you're being told in the movie. And so the first one of the first segments that you see in this one of the first segments that you see in the movie is with Christian Slater and Steve Buscemi and Julianne Moore, and it's called Lot 249. And pretty much Steve Buscemi gets a mummy, and then he's controlling them, and he's kind of mad because someone stole like a scholarship, and so he's controlling the mummy through these things, and it's really creepy, really good special or practical effects. And I'm not going to give too much because I don't want to spoil too much of the movie, but people get murdered, people twist and turns, all these things, and so it's a good acting segment. The scares are good. Christian Slater does great. Steve Buscemi, Julianne Moore. But yeah, so it's kind of like they're college students. Steve Buscemi's trying to get revenge, and a lot of things happen with this mummy that Steve Buscemi is controlling and having him do his dirty work or whatnot. Won't spoil it, but yeah, check that segment out. Next segment is called The Cat from Hell, and that's the one that stars David Johansen, and he's kind of like a hitman, and there's a guy that hires him, William Hickey. If you don't know who he is, he's from Christmas Vacation. He's like, the blessed. She wants to say the blessed. That's him. And so anyways, he kind of talks like that. So anyways, he's like a rich, like billionaire in this mansion. And there's this black cat that like, is like killing all his like old family members. They're all like kind of in their twilight, like old years, but he's killing them because he owns like a factory or where they do experiments on cats, and so now this cat's like out to get him or whatever. So David Johansen, whose name is Halston, is a hitman, and so he's hired him to hit. I think like he's gonna pay him like $100,000 to kill a cat. And so all these things happen where you're like, he's just trying to kill a cat. How is it supposed to be like? How? Like, how in the world is this scary, or how in the world is this even like possible? But it's great. A lot of cool things, a lot of great acting. And David Johansen does great because, I mean, he's pretty much acting on his own by himself with a cat, you know? And so it's pretty much not like a monologue, the whole segment, but kind of. And he does a great job on it. Not going to spoil that one either, but these are just kind of like the synopsises of each story. And then finally, the last one is The Lover's Vow. This one's probably the best. I mean, they're all pretty good segments, but this is the best segment out of all of them. A guy witnesses a murder in an alley. He's a struggling artist, and then the gargoyle or the demon or whatever tells him, like, if you don't tell anyone what you saw tonight. And I can't remember if he promises him riches or not, but he doesn't say anything or whatever. And so he doesn't say anything, and then after that, like, his life is like, blossoming. He's selling a lot of his art. Things are going great. He meets the love of his life. He's rich. He's successful. And then time goes on. I think it's like 10 years ago or 10 or 15 years past. And he's, like I said, successful, rich, has everything he wants, a family, a beautiful bride, a wonderful kids. But it's just, he saw someone get like murdered by a monster, and it's just been eating him alive. He's like, I have to tell someone this. And so it's a great segment. I will not spoil it for you because the payoff is awesome if you have not seen this. So if you have not seen Tales from the Darkside, the movie, definitely check it out. There's a lot of great twists and turns, and then the wraparound story, not going to spoil that either, but it's pretty funny, pretty quick, nothing special, but the way the wraparound with the Martin Lawrence, the kid, and the witch, the Hansel and Gretel thing, kind of getting out of that. But overall, fun movie. If you like Creepshow series, definitely check it out. If you like kind of like a camp, this is like a great campy 90s movie. Usually the 80s had the great campies, but this is a great campy 90s movie. But definitely, honestly, I would definitely check this out if you're looking for a fun movie to watch with your friends. It came out in 1990, so it's probably still filmed in the 80s. It's a tight 90, as we say here at Guys Night Lab. So hour and a half, you're in, you're out. It's great. It's punchy. 3 quick stories with our ADD. I have ADD, but our generation here of just like YouTube clips and not being able to sit down for long periods of time. This is a perfect movie to check out. So anyways, catch you in the next one. Definitely check out Tales from the Darkside, the movie.